discuss with each other is what we're gonna talk about. Like we get the topic, but it's always amazing how we all just flow together. We just flow together. And so I wanted to, if you guys can see my screen, I wanted to talk about this married and single challenges in the ministry. I'm going to share real quick my testimony, and then I'm going to open some things up for discussion. As many of you guys know, some of you guys know, and some of you guys don't. I'm married. I've been married to my husband for 20 plus years now. And I'm a pastor, and he's a deacon. And some of the challenges, I think Pastor Baker had brought it up earlier, just being able to have balance with your marriage and your ministry. Now, I don't want the singles on here to think this is just a marriage talk, because I have some things in here for you guys as well. But it can be challenging being married and doing ministry, because everybody on here knows and can agree that your home is your first ministry. Your home has to be first when you are married. You have to, and being a female minister, being a female pastor, even with that, you can have the titles, all the titles you want, whether you're an evangelist, missionary, pastor. If you are a wife, you are still subject to your husband. There is an order. A marriage, there is God, there's the man, there's the woman, and there's the children, and the anointing flows down. I tell a lot of people that even though I wear the title pastor, my husband is the priest of our home. And even with ministry, some of the challenges I even know sometimes, even being a female pastor, and my husband even being in the role of deacon, sometimes, a lot of people are like, that's kind of weird. Not weird, but it's like they see a husband and wife together. They're both pastors, and having to explain that. But hey, for now, this is what it is. For now, I had to heed to the calling. But I also have to, in these years, always have to, like even Pastor Sharon has said, there's been times I've had to do a reset. There's been times I've had to get rid of distractions. There's been times that I've just had to get back to the basics and put things in perspective and know that, yes, I am a leader. I am a pastor. I am over several ministries. However, I have to make sure that the home front is number one, that I'm putting just as much time and energy in my marriage as I am with everybody else. And not just marriage, children as well, because if you are married and you have a spouse and you have children and other family members depending on you, you have to to balance that. So that's just a little bit of my testimony, but I wanted to bring up this conversation because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And there's a lot of things going on in the world that the church is not really talking about concerning married and single. So let me get a little bit further. And I want to bring up some interesting points. And one thing, before I stop to share, one thing that was really kind of heartbreaking, I don't know if you guys read in the last couple of weeks, there's a high profile preacher, and his name is Devon Franklin. And he was married to this lady named Megan Good. What just recently came out, they got divorced. And I was just like, wow, that they got divorced. And I follow him, and he's always preaching and praying, oh, my wonderful marriage and this and that, and let me pray for marriages and let me pray for this. And they even, had a book about marriage. And then the next thing I know, you guys are divorced. You guys are divorced. But the truth of the matter is that divorce is really at a really high rate, not just outside the church, but inside the church. We're seeing divorce at an all-time rate. And that's why I said it is so important. I minister to so many women in ministry. Like, look, I have seen people put the church over their marriage. And I have seen those same people who put, when I say the church over their marriage, meaning busy activity, like Pastor Sharon's talking about, or Pastor Karen, busy activity. You're doing all the work, but yet you're not working on your marriage. And then the next thing you know, you're always at church, you're always there, you're always this, but you're not spending equal time with your spouse. And then next thing you know, it's in shambles and people are divorced. Divorce is at the highest amongst the believers in the church. Even clergy are divorcing at record numbers. For many believers who are married, they are not happy or satisfied in their marriages, but they will not divorce because of religious beliefs, and they are staying together for the people. Let me pause right there. And now we don't even have to say nothing, but we all know couples who are they're married because they want to please the people. We don't want to get divorced, and they're not happy. And we know this, all of us, we don't have to say nothing, but we probably know of some people or have known some people that are in this situation. Some clergy are getting married for all the wrong reasons. They may want to have sex to be right in the Lord's eyes. So they get married to someone that they may not know that well, or they're just making flesh-based decisions. Again, this is another point that I'm making. All of us might know somebody who have done this. I do. I've known people personally who only got married because they have a title and they want to have sex. Ladies, am I in the house? I know it's kind of quiet. I'm gonna keep going on, but
Amen.
I'm just putting facts out here. So let me keep going. There are many,
Keep going.
Okay. There are many single, now here we go for the singles. There are many single clergy that are fornicating in secret. They love God and want to serve him, but they have a difficult time keeping their fleshly desires under control. In many instances, they do not feel free confiding in other leaders about what they are doing in fear of retaliation, getting sit down from their position, or getting put out the church, so they remain silent in sin. Here's the last point. Many singles find it hard to date or even find a suitable mate. What makes it even worse, many singles are approached by married men in and outside of the church. Now, I know I just said a whole lot here, and I know I can get a whole lot talking, but I want to go back to that point that I made about the singles that are fornicating. I was a part of a church, not here, somewhere else, not here, even in Florida, okay? There were a lot, this church that I was a part of put up a lot of young people in positions. They put a lot of people up in different titles, so like deacons, deaconesses, preachers, they were young and single. And I saw it, a lot of them, you saw a lot of them getting sit down, or they're sneaking around, having sex. And then now I'm on a group full of women. And I'm going to be real because y'all know how I am. I'm very real. I have seen with my own eyes the men sow their seeds in their congregation, and it's okay. Single men fornicating in leadership positions, and they get covered up. But as soon as the woman does it, oh, she's the harlot, she's this. I've seen this. We still have to deal with this, but we know that it's wrong across the board. However, for a lot of these people, I want to be real, they're doing this, but a lot of them, they are doing it in secret. because again, they don't want to get sat down. They don't want to get caught out. They don't want to get disassociated from the church, because some churches will put you out, and again, it's right. And we have to deal with sin in the congregation. However, it's just the approach sometimes. How do we deal with these things? How do we deal with these things? And I'm just putting facts that's out there. I'm just putting things out there. So let me keep going. So here's some questions. Now it's time for us to sound off. What are some challenges you face being married and in ministry, and how have you overcome them? And what are the challenges of being single in ministry? So I put out some interesting facts, but I felt that this just needed to get talked about, because again, divorce is at the highest rate. Flesh is like, and the truth is, people are having sex in church. They've been having sex, like single people. People are committing adultery, in the church. And a sad thing, the church is not talking about these things. They're not having discussions like we're having right now. What happens, what I've seen is, and Pastor Sharon, some of the other pastors, I know you probably seen this, Pastor Sharon, in the 20 years you've been pastoring. I know a lot of churches do a lot of damage control. So what they do is they try to isolate the incident and just kind of make it go away and keep it going. But that doesn't help the problem, because it still happens in the church. So I'm done talking.